Oh yeah, Cashapp. Oh yeah, Cashapp.
Good morning. Couple things, people. What day is of the week it is? Was it Thursday? It's Thursday, people. And I just want to talk to the people real quick. It's Thursday, people. Indeed it is. Sipping on a couple electrolytes. Everything happens on your wedding day. Hope everyone's doing well. I want to touch on the topic real quick. You guys know that when I talk about current events, anything that borders on politics, I'm always going to take a different approach to it. It's always going to be different. It's never going to be the typical route that everyone else would probably talk about it. And that's the whole point of this channel, is to not report the news. Like, no. I'm an individual who has opinions, who has perspective, who has perception, which, in most cases, all of our perceptions are known to lead us astray. I only got an hour, less than that actually, to live this morning, but I did want to answer a couple questions I received in my DMs. But first, this is CNN. Let me preface this by saying that every news platform has a bias, a discoloration. They tend towards a certain direction in terms of how they want to report something, the information that they want to talk on, and the information they tend to omit. Everyone has their own path as they approach a certain topic, and of course, I have my own as well. Me being active duty, obviously, I'm going to take the responsible route when I talk about certain things. One thing I learned about current events is that the first person to talk about something is usually wrong. The first person to report something, unless they're sticking to direct facts, and even facts can change, they're usually wrong. It's best to kind of sit back. Simon Sinek said to learn to speak last, to observe, to get all the facts, wait for the facts to change, wait for the facts to, we forgot about this, and we didn't tell you about this, but this happened too. Wait till everything comes out, most of everything comes out, and then form an opinion, and then question that opinion, and then you get the point. So yeah, this is CNN. Title of this is "Who Are the Taliban and How Did They Take Control of Afghanistan So Swiftly?" One thing I will say before I even talk about the actual story, there is something within everyone that should be in pain when you see a human suffering, another human suffering. All these talks of narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths, all with their specific definitions, which we should pay close attention to. The question remains, how do you get someone to show empathy? How do you get a psychopath who doesn't show empathy, or a narcissist who lacks empathy? How do you get someone like that to show empathy and to express that and to care about someone else's pain? And usually the answer is to put that same person through the pain that they're inflicting or they're observing. And then once they feel it, they'd be like, oh, other humans feel this too. Just a theory though, because I haven't tested this, but it's an ongoing question of, if a psychopath or a narcissist or whatever term you want to use, and we shouldn't use them loosely, but you get the point. There's something in every human, if you're anything at all human, when you see someone else's pain and you see someone else suffering, you should feel something. If you see a homeless person, you should feel something. Goodness gracious, you should feel something. And, as the small little clips of certain videos coming from that region start coming up, and, you start seeing different versions and different angles and what have you, you can't help but feel something, feel compassion. Something Americans have a luxury of is that we've never had to wake up to see a different kind of military personnel or different countries' personnel with their own bases here. We have embassies, but that's usually the extent, and those are civilians. So we are blessed. We are blessed. One thing I pay close attention to is the comments on this channel. I pay close attention to the comments on this channel. One comment I got when I posted, I believe it was about 2 or 3 videos ago. One person mentioned how, have you considered the fact that you might be ungrateful in your current position? And I always like to look to the intent of people's comments. The words matter, but also I try to perceive the intent of people's comments. And are they coming at your boy? Are they trying to catch this? Are they coming for your boy? Or are they asking a question, a genuine question? And so I've pondered on that comment ever since. Obviously, I didn't touch it, didn't remove it, didn't hide it, nothing. It's a good question. Am I ungrateful? When I talk about being unhappy in the military, and then you kind of see what other people are dealing with, it's not that you should compare yourself to them, but is that you need perspective. At all times, you should be seeking perspective of, what do I have that other people are praying for? Am I in a current position that I've prayed to be in? Am I complaining about what I once prayed for? Did I lose sleep and worry and complain and just plead with God? Can I please just join the Air Force? Please let me get through MEPS. Please let me get through base training. Please let me get to tech school. Please let me get operational. Please let me make staff. And then you get here and you complain. And you look back to the times where you're happy. I'm like, that's something that we have to look at as far as why are we complaining about things that we lost sleep and prayed for? Not that people don't suffer in their current positions, but it's something about gaining perspective that it kind of changes the narrative in your mind that maybe I need to redefine what suffering really is in the world, in the context of the world, in the absolute nature. On planet Earth, what does it look like to suffer? And then you go out into the world, which is a luxury again in 2021 where we have internet. We should know the news going on in different regions, but we do, thanks to these. So by going into other parts of the world and using the resources we have available to us, we're able to notice and see, all right, we should be properly defining suffering. What does it mean to truly suffer on planet Earth? And then we go from there. So that being said, I'm grateful. A lot of things I complain about now and, my current daily life and being a new supervisor and what have you in the Air Force, even certain things that I complain about, active duty and, am I really suffering? Is life really that bad for me? Sitting here drinking my electrolytes with all these devices. You guys notice there's no longer a TV here. I don't have any TVs anymore. Just getting rid of a lot of fluff. I had so many extra luxuries that other people in other countries would wake up and pray for. If I could just get running water. And I'm on my second shower today. I take 3 showers a day. It was a huge debate in my office why people are not showering before they go to the gym. Let me touch on that real quick and then we'll get to the story. God, I love a good tangent, you understand? Especially when you don't live stream as often. Why is it, people, if you leave your house in the morning, you go to church, you go to school, you go to work, you take a shower, you take a bath, you clean yourself from the night of toiling and sweating and being alive, because that's what your body does. It tends towards disorder, even while it's not moving. That's why you have to bathe people in hospital. Even though they're not actively doing anything, they're not going anywhere, they smell over time. Just like pets, which should be bathing daily. I'm not sure why they're not. And they're on your couch and in your sheets and all that. Anyway, it's a huge debate in my office of why people are not showering before they go to PT. We had PT this morning, 6:30. I got up, I took a shower, went to PT. Apparently, I'm the only person in my office who showers before they go to PT. How is that? That's mind-boggling. That before you go to work, you take a shower. But before you go to PT, you don't, because I'm only going to get sweaty and dirty again. But then if you compare that to why you make your bed, or why you clean your house, or why you do laundry, and you say, well, you're only going to get your clothes dirty again, your house is only going to get dirty again, your bed's only going to get messed up again. It's time for my office, my squadron, to have an intervention, and we discuss what true cleanliness is. What is the true standard of hygiene? I was alarmed, and pray for my squadron. Just pray for the people in my office that we've somehow allowed the concept of not showering to spread to literally every person in my office, including civilians. I asked civilians, "Do y'all shower before y'all come to work?" Yes. Do you shower before you go to the gym? No. How, bruh? Anyway, so onto a serious topic. Who are the Taliban and how did they take control of Afghanistan so swiftly? Well, a couple things. I'll read through it real quick. I hate reporting the news, but we have to acknowledge knowledge from an Air Force perspective. Just last week, U.S. intelligence analysts had predicted it would likely take several more weeks before Afghanistan's civilian government in Kabul fell to Taliban fighters. In reality, it only took a few short days. Interesting. On Sunday, Taliban militants retook Afghanistan's capital almost 2 decades after they were driven from Kabul by U.S. troops. Although Afghan security forces were well-funded and well-equipped, they put little resistance as Taliban militants seized much of the country following the withdrawal of U.S. troops beginning in early July. That's pretty much the story. Listen, people, this is not a news channel. This is a perspective. This is a wisdom channel. We talk about wisdom here. One question I received, and it ties directly into this, and I pretty much already covered what I want to talk about as it relates to their situation and how it relates to the average American and how our lives are lived, in comparison. But it's something we have to address. I'll say this. During a hurricane, there's only one thing that matters. During natural disasters, avalanche, volcanoes, tsunamis, there's only one thing that tends to matter during these major events. It's the only thing that distracts us from the chaos we create on social media, and that's human life. I don't know what the answer is to Afghanistan. I do not know what the answer is. Should we be there? Should we help, maintain their way of life and their government, and, obviously, fight against Taliban, what have you? I don't know what the answer is. I don't believe I have the capacity or the potential to answer that question properly with proper context, because obviously what you see on the news, it's filtered. You ever play this hell of a game? You hear something from someone, and then you finally get the watered down version of what the first person thought was the truth, and then the truth exists somewhere else, completely somewhere else. So I don't know what the answer is to the question of whether or not we should be there. We've been there for 20 years. We had a certain intent when we got there. It's been 20 years, we leave, and it immediately falls. I'm like, was it worth it? Should we have been there in the first place? A quality question usually leads to more questions. We rarely get answers from this. The news, nobody watches the news and gets answers. You get more questions. The big ones are usually why. And that's where, the discipline of philosophy comes in. The smorgasbord, the adventure, the discovery of the unknown. Why? Families of, who have, family members who are victims to murder or sexual assault or what have you. The big question is always, why? They want closure. Why would you do something? Well, one of my favorite channels to watch on YouTube is True Crime, where the families always want to know, why her? Why him? Well, why would you be, what is wrong with you? Explain, Chris Hansen, explain to me what's going through your mind when, it's interesting. So for those of you who came here looking for answers and wanted my specific opinion, you guys know I don't do politics like that. This is far from a political type discussion. This is involving human life. This is involving what we might perceive, to be human rights, issues, or, what have you. You can go elsewhere for the specific opinions. This is not where you get that from. I'm here to talk to most of us who live in America, or, the small percentages of us who live in a different country, a different region of the world. Wisdom. I got a question from AJ on Instagram. Hi, I'm one of your subscribers on YouTube. Love your channel. By the way, I'm considering going into the Air Force, so I had a question. Is it mandatory that you have to go into war even if you're not an airman? I always ask this question to recruiters, and I always get told no, but anyone else tells me different. So we have to talk about what war even means. From a civilian standpoint, from someone who has little to no context of what the military is day to day, to actually be the member. It's one thing to grow up an army brat or to have a parent or, a loved one, a friend who's in the military, and you hear stories, you hear details, but you don't have context, so it's might as well be wrong information. What is war in the context of, more specifically, the Air Force? What does it mean? So on my channel, I have a deployed playlist. I'm not sure how many videos are still up because I've taken down a lot of videos. Just going back through, just putting back the ones that are quality in nature. But on my deployed playlist, you'll struggle to see bayonets. You won't see trench warfare. You won't see grenades. You won't see me holding a gun. You'll see jet skis. You'll see flea markets. You'll see good food. You'll see malls. You'll see Dubai, the Burj Khalifa, Cheesecake Factory, aquariums, 5-star resorts, literally. Now, obviously, it's edited. It's what I wanted you to see. It's what I could show you. But That wasn't war. That wasn't war. In a lot of cases, in the Air Force, in an Air Force context, I'm not speaking for the Marines or the Army or the Navy, Coast Guard in certain cases. In the Air Force context, there are certain things that are just you have to be there, or you lack context in relation to other branches or into relation to history, because a lot of us go straight to what we learned in high school and say, war, hand-to-hand combat. No. I'm not saying that it doesn't occur in the world somewhere at some time, at some moment, by someone who's currently in the military or currently in the Air Force. Someone's doing dirty work that you don't have to, that I don't have to, and we're grateful. But in the case of the majority of people coming into the Air Force, unless you're a battlefield airman, hand-to-hand combat is not likely. It's not probable. We're talking about numbers. But the percentage, the chance of you doing hand-to-hand combat as a services personnel, as finance, as personnel, as admin, as med group, working in a hospital, the chances of you doing hand-to-hand, it's not likely. Battlefield airmen, the chances increase. Different branch, the chances increase. So we have to define war properly in terms of what does it mean to go to war in the Air Force context. I've been deployed. When I got there, I walked past a pool. I walked past people drinking, 3 drinks max. I walked past the BX. You know, when you went off base, I drove past malls, gas stations, Walmart equivalents. I'm like, all right, there's a nail shop, Teslas. You start realizing, all right, this is different than what I thought it would be. It's different. It's different. To answer your question directly, and that's something I enjoy doing, is not waffling around questions, but directly answering questions. Why is my phone in direct defiance to my will? Is that acceptable for your phone to do other than what you requested to do? So the question is, so I had a question. Is it mandatory that you have to go into war even if you're not an airman? What? Did I read that wrong? So I'm going to answer what I think you meant. Do you have to go to war if you're in the Air Force or in the military? A better question would be, do you have to deploy? Do you have to deploy? Certain regions are more or less peaceful because we're there for prevention. We're there for logistics. We're there for planning. We're there for staging. It's different depending on where you're going. If you look at the American forces, certain bases are in certain locations for specific reasons. When I was in Alaska, you notice that there's certain airframes that are at certain bases in Alaska for a certain reason relative to our geographic location. You don't find B-52s, A-10s at Allison or Joint Base Elmendorf. You have F-16s, F-35s, F-22s, refuelers. It's for a specific reason. I believe I saw one bomber up there. I think it was a B-2, I think. Not a B-2, a B-1. B-1 Lancer, I believe. The point is that depending on your location and depending on what your specific job is, from that, you take the probability of you doing certain tasks while you're deployed. Almost every AFSC will deploy. And notice I said AFSC, not every person will deploy. Some people never deploy. My dad has never been deployed. He was in for close to 20 years in the Army. He never deployed. He went to Korea, which is unaccompanied. Meaning your family just couldn't go with you. But he never deployed. I deployed once and was to Abu Dhabi. I wasn't doing hand-to-hand. I was prepared to give hands. Trust me. If people got silly, I was ready to give hands, you understand. But it didn't come to that. So the chances of you deploying or your AFSC deploying is quite normal for your AFSC to deploy. Will you deploy? I don't know. You'll notice in the Air Force, a lot of people want to deploy. They're on waiting lists. Please send me, especially depending on what you might be doing over there. I'm finance, but when I deployed, I didn't deploy to do finance. I deployed to be OCN. I watched contractors work, clean bathrooms. Easiest money in the world, tax-free. So, hope that answers your question. We have to keep the context of what war is in proper context. We have to understand that certain words in our mind trigger certain understandings, and that understanding could be wrong based on our perception, based on our true understanding of what that word means in proper context to the military branch, to your FSC, and then, of course, to the year you're in, because we don't use bayonets anymore. We don't use chemical warfare. We don't. So just understanding that. One more question I want to answer, and then I'll look through the chat, see if I got a little time. Do a quick little ask me anything. Who else we got in here? Hope everyone's doing well. Let me re-up on the electrolytes. Stop playing with y'all. Yeah, TCN duty was replaced by OCN because it was more politically correct. All right, cool. So, question is as follows. Hey, Ray, I'm watching your YouTube videos, and I'm a huge fan. I'm really interested in joining the Air Force, but here recently I received a DUI charged on the 4th of July. Never had anything on my record. My court date isn't until August 27th, which is coming up. So there's a chance it could be it could get dismissed, but there's also a chance it couldn't. And if that's the case, could I get a waiver and still get in? You guys know, if you follow this channel any amount of time, that I don't know a lot of things. Some things you have to experience to know. Some things. Other things you can read, you can ask a question, you can seek mentorship in, but some things you just have to be there to know. I don't know what the inside of a courtroom looks like. That's cap. I've been inside one. At Andrews, we had a going away there. There's pizza and drinks and all that. That was the first time in the courtroom. That was Air Force courtroom. That was on Andrews. But in terms of like a civilian court, I don't know what the inside looks like outside of what I see on YouTube and TV. I don't know what it smells like. I don't know what it's like to be on the stand. I don't know what it's like to have a lawyer next to me saying my client pleads not guilty. I don't know. So when it comes to joining the Air Force and having a DUI, may or may not be on your record, and currently dealing with that, my truest and my most honest answer, and it's the one that's most valuable to you, is I don't know. And I'm the last person to sit here and waffle for 10 to 15 minutes and muse and ponder and speculate on whether or not you'll be able to join, when the short answer is I don't know. Now, I don't stop after I give that answer, but I want you to know I do not know your fate. I don't know your situation. I don't know what will happen in relation to your ability to join. So I always like to lead with that and let you know, if you want to stop listening now, you can, because I have zero experience with DUIs. I've witnessed them from a distance. I know it sends ripples through your squadron, and I know it kind of hampers your ability to move about in the civilian world with certain, penalties. But as it relates to your mindset, as it relates to wisdom, that's what I focus on. That's what I focus on, is the wisdom. Now, all these talks of waivers, the recruiter, and I mean, especially from social media standpoint, you will hear so many, the trope of there's a waiver for everything. There's a waiver for everything. There's a waiver. There's a waiver for everything. True. There's a waiver for everything. Now, whether or not you'll get it is the question. Is there a waiver for murder? Premeditated, cold-blooded murder? I don't know. Will you get that waiver? I don't know. It's not up to me. But again, I like to focus on the mindset of how to approach a given situation. What should your mindset reflect? Wisdom. My policy when it comes to situations like yourself, or going through MEPS and trying to figure out how to get through a situation, is silence or honesty. silence or honesty. The problem with cutting corners, the problem with lies, the problem with omitting the truth is that you get caught later. That's all you guarantee is that later, when it's inconvenient, when you're not expecting it, you get caught. It's reality. In the age of social media with phones and internet and data speeds and information just flying back and forth constantly, there's no shortage of information. You're stuck in an ecosystem where it's hard to keep a secret. It's very difficult. That's why I like to show grace and mercy to other people, because one day I'll need it. One day you'll need it. That's why the talk of canceling people, one day you'll need that same grace and mercy that you withheld from other people. That's why I don't beef. That's why I don't do doxing and calling people out and we're going to review their misdeeds and let's talk about them and give commentary and give my thoughts and my opinions. No, because one day the same grace and mercy that you withheld from them, you'll need it, and you'll be begging other people to show you that same grace and mercy when it was your turn to show it. Did you show that grace and mercy? That's why in relationship context, there's so many talks of cutting people off and I'm going my own way. I don't need you and I get it myself. I'm strong, independent, and I don't need no help, and I'll do it myself, and I'm protecting my energy. And cool. That's great rhetoric. Amazing rhetoric. But the same grace and mercy that you refuse to give other people, you tend to want that for yourself because you're imperfect. An honest person would admit that I'm imperfect. So you need grace and mercy as well. Anyway, the point being, when I approached the DUI, I watched a ton of DUI videos, DUI videos. Why? Prevention. I'd rather read about something. I'd rather watch a video on it than experience it myself and have all the details myself. I like being able not to be able to answer this question. It's something I set out to do intentionally when I seek wisdom and when I ask questions, I study and I learn. Is I don't want to be able to answer every question concerning legality and the court system and the court proceedings. I enjoy listening to the legal rhetoric and cross-examines and what's the number one commandment of cross-examination? Be brief. I enjoy learning that type of stuff, but I don't want to experience it. So you're in a situation where obviously a lot of variables are not in your control. I have empathy towards that. The unknown causes so much stress of not knowing the answer of how will this end? I've been there. I've lived there. That's the cause of anxiety in my life, is not knowing the answer. And just, I want some assurances. I want some peace. And, a lot of people are trying to make decisions, life-changing decisions, whether it be financially or just career-wise, where I need to know how this is going to end so I can plan for something else. I need a backup plan. I need income. I got a family support. What direction do I turn into in terms of if I don't get this waiver, if I don't get in, I got to pick something. I got to figure something else out. I have empathy towards that. The one question that I have to ask myself a lot is, what is the alternative? What is the alternative? If I don't know, and I can't control it, what is the alternative? What else is there? I'm learning, and I'm in a place right now, today, as I go to work in the next 30 minutes, is acceptance. Acceptance is the answer for you and myself today, right now. With the little, I have no anxiety right now, but I know when I get off this, and I get in the shower, the anxiety is going to try to find me and whoop my ass in the shower. I'm like, what's going to happen today that you have no control over, that's going to control your life? It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. What's going to happen today? And I have to learn to accept whatever happens. Accept it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to figure it out. Accept it. And the same thing applies to happiness, which is another one of my struggles, is what if I feel happy? What if today so far has been amazing? Nothing's gone wrong. Had a good PT session, got some electrolytes, all the thoughts, and this is a good live stream so far. The connection hasn't gone out. Acceptance is just as hard to accept, or happiness is just as hard to accept as the unknown or failure or something negative, something perceived to be negative. It's just as hard to accept happiness and saying, I'm happy in this moment. Don't try to change it. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. I'm happy. Enjoy it. Yesterday, I went on a date. I was happy. I enjoyed it. I gave it all my effort. Didn't look at my phone. Wasn't doing a bunch of extracurriculars. Just enjoy the moment. If there's no second date, if there's no relationship that results from that, leave it alone. Enjoy the moment. Being present. Being mindful. Accepting what is right now, today. It's highly philosophical, highly too deep and just existential, and it's beautiful, thinkery. Obviously, I started off with telling you I don't know the answer to your question, but that's the mindset you have to go into this with, is realizing, first of all, you can be successful outside the military. You can be successful outside the military. You can get an education outside the military. You can get a career. You can be happy. You can travel. You can be part of the federal government, state government, outside the military. It's not the end of the world. So again, this advice is very easy for me to give and very difficult for me to live out because I struggle with anxiety myself. So I'm almost an expert at giving this advice because I hear this advice coming from people that care about me, my mentors around me. They tell me the same thing. So it's real easy to transfer the advice to you and say, here's what you should be doing. And then, of course, today I have to go live it out. So, again, it's unfortunate. Hopefully, we learn from our mistakes. It's a very inefficient way of living life, is trying to learn from mistakes and just butt my head and figure it out later. Butt my head and figure it out later. The right way to live life is to ask questions, seek mentorship, seek wisdom. And so obviously, you bump your knee, you bumped into the wall, but how do you move on from here? With wisdom, seeking wisdom, which as you asked me a question. Not that I'm an expert on wisdom, but you asked a question. That's the start. That's the start. So hope that advice brings some type of perspective from someone who's not involved in your situation. I don't know you, but hopefully I was able to provide some type of value that you can at least walk away with. I will dare not say a positive outlook, but an acceptance outlook, meaning you don't let this take over your life. You don't let this take over your day-to-day living. And trust me, I know, because I deal with this myself of how do I just stay focused on the live stream right now? How do I just stay focused on driving and enjoying the drive to work, enjoying my coffee to work, enjoying the coffee at my desk, enjoying the time sitting, talking to my airmen, talking to my leadership at work, and then getting off work, enjoying the gym, enjoying spending time with my SO. That's the mindset that we all should be striving to have. So, gotta go. I hope that answered your question. Hope that provided some type of value. But yeah, pray for the world. Pray for the world. The world tends towards disorder. It's science. It's history. The world tends towards disorder. So these things should be expected. It's unfortunate. We try to prevent the world from falling in on itself. That's what the military tries to do. The U.S. military, we try to just hold stuff together and y'all stay where y'all at. Y'all stay where y'all at. We're going to stay where we at. Everybody just mind your business. Historically, it's not how the world works. And so, pray for the world. Pray for the world. Who you pray to, that's your business. Who you pray to is your business. But realize that hopefully someone else is in charge, not us. Hopefully it's not just us humans down here acting a fool and no one's in charge. Hopefully this planet's not just swirling through the outer space at thousands of miles per hour and no one's in charge. Hopefully someone calculated gravity to the decimal and didn't, hopefully they checked their work. Hopefully whoever created this world, this universe we live in, they had a calculator with them and they didn't just kind of, it'll be all right. They'll figure it out. Hopefully we're all here on this planet for a reason. Hopefully I'm talking to 22 people for a reason. Hopefully it's not all just by chance that, this computer works. How? So be encouraged. Be encouraged. Take advantage of the day. Shout out to those watching on Twitch. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Instagram. All my links in the description. Appreciate everybody's support on this channel. And I will see y'all next stream.